Now, remember that comment that was ascribed to the president about youth. Yes, there's been some response from Mr. Femi Adesina, the president's spokesperson, but we're focusing on that now. Ajuri.
Thank you, Chamberlain, and our viewers, welcome back to Abuja. You know, the comments made by President Muhammadu Buhari at the 2018 Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in London have generated quite a bit of reaction, some in favor and some vehemently opposed, with probably more opposed in many ways. But we're going to go ahead and air those comments for you to take a look, and you can have your own response.
I believe for those who are following us closely, they could recall on the political campaign we conducted and the success we scored was based on three things. First, securing the country, and in particular, the person who mentioned the Northeast. The so-called Boko Haram was occupying a large chunk of that part of the country, and they caused a lot of damage to the infrastructure, especially educational and health. And then the economy. We have a very young population. Our population is estimated conservatively to be 180 million. This is a conservative one. More than 60% of the population is below the age of 30. A lot of them haven't been to school, and they are claiming, you know, that Nigeria has been an oil-producing country. Therefore, they should sit and do nothing and get housing, healthcare, education free. But let me tell you that recently, my Minister of Education or for Information was constrained to answer a question when people accuse the administration of doing nothing. He said, let Nigerians be reminded what position we were before May 2015, what condition we are now, and what we have achieved between then and now.
Well, you have heard President Muhammadu Buhari in his own words, and with that, we shall start the conversation. Standing by with us is Andrew Abu, a member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, and Mr. Wale Alake, a director of planning and strategy for the Yoruba Youth Congress. You're very welcome to the program this morning, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, welcome.
Let me start with you, Mr. Abu. You know, obviously you've heard the president's comments. Yeah. Some people have looked at, you know, these comments and said, well, you know, look, Mr. President has demonstrated a penchant for scoring against his own goalkeeper, politically and strategically. What are your thoughts about those comments?
Well, I'll differ from that. I think before this video was aired, it is very clear that a lot of people that jumped on the conversation when the statement was made yesterday did not clearly watch or listen to what Mr. President said about the youth. Yes, it's a political season and a lot of people will push a lot of narrative, which for me is what is playing out. It is very clear that what the president said at that forum is different from what is being bandied about or are watched in the media. Now, if you look at that same forum, the president talked about a visit he got from the Shell Group saying that they are going to invest $15 billion. Unfortunately, that didn't even make headlines. What made headlines was the fact that people are saying the president said Nigerian youths are lazy, and it started trending. And yesterday I had a conversation with a couple of youths. If you ask, they'll tell you, sorry, I have not even seen the video. So generally, you realize that people just jump on conversation without really hearing or knowing what has really played out. What has played out in this conversation is clear that people are just being mischievous and people are pushing a narrative that does not speak well of the president. And I am here to clarify that part.
You know, if you listen to the opposition People's Democratic Party, they will say that, you know, that the president is going abroad and demarketing Nigeria. That if you look at, for example, how Lee Kuan Yew was able to develop Singapore, one of the core tenets of his strategy was to go abroad and call for a greater investment on the basis of a very good and effective youthful population that's ready to work. Do you think that there's any truth to that notion that he's essentially demarketing Nigeria and the youths?
Absolutely not. The statement was very clear. Some youths. It is not youth in Nigeria are lazy, as it is trending on social media, on even mainstream media, because I saw in some papers yesterday. Now, when you say some youth, the fact remains that we have youth in the country that fall under those categories. We can't run away from that fact. We have youth in the country who just sit back, who are also beneficiaries from even South, for instance. You have youth that are on.
We're gonna, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're gonna be able to conclude your thoughts in a moment. We're gonna take a short break. And Mr. Alake, you'll be able to respond soon. Our viewers, please do stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.